You finally get there, being prepared on your sales presentation, you have your laptop, your materials, your pen. You already know the objections they're gonna bring up and know how to overcome it. The funny thing is, there's only one spouse available. Have you guys ever been there? AKA the one-legger? It's Boomer, guys, here with another video. It's kind of one of the most frustrating things, to be honest, because you kind of set the expectation that both should be there because one spouse might have a different question compared to the other spouse, and usually you want both of them in the same page, right? Because not only one person decided how this marriage should be and how this family should be, right? The one-legger, I like to call it, is family member has half a brain because they don't know what the other half wants or would ask or concerns will be. So it's really tough for anyone who's even a really great salesperson to hit it off right off the bat when it comes to a one spouse decision maker in the sales field. Obviously, if you happen to sit down with them and realize that one of them is not available, my highest recommendation is obviously reschedule so you can get both of them. Just set the stage where you don't have to do two presentations or someone relaying the wrong information to the other spouse. It just never relays and translates the tonality, the body language, purely like you did in the presentation in the meeting with that spouse that was sitting there. It's almost like you are the doctor who knows how to explain how a surgery works, who's been to school, who did residency and done this for years, versus someone who's just listening in 10 minutes and expected to explain exactly to their spouse how you explained it, in a sense. So there's a lot of disconnects that are gonna happen, and usually I won't recommend it unless they're considered a very high level family members, household, actually has a really good understanding and knows how to translate things in a sense, like the professionals, the engineers, the doctors, the lawyers, in that kind of playing field in a sense. But let's just pretend like you're in a case where you have to do the actual consultation with that person, because you'd be surprised, there's some households where just only one spouse makes the whole decision for the whole entire family. That half brain is full scoped, you know. One of the things that you want to do is basically ask some key questions. What are some questions would the spouse generally have? What some concerns that they have? Do they actually know that you are there in their house or in the meeting with their spouse talking about a business decision that might potentially go on and affect the household family, their income, and their lifestyle? Or is this more like a hidden project that the spouse has behind the other significant other's back? Because if you want to have a better understanding, it's about just simply asking some key questions and listening to some of the things that you can do to tailor it based on the person, if that's the sole decision maker, right? So if they know that you actually are coming, then all right, what some things you guys talked about? What some concerns that they brought up before we have this meeting? Basically have a good understanding as if the spouse was there. The second most important thing I would recommend is you want to leave some information and material behind that could reference off for the other spouse to translate what you guys were talking about, or some positive ethers on the product itself. Was it the numbers, benefits that come along with it? Was it because of how it looks, the appearance behind the product? Whatever you're selling or service it is, you want to probably point that out and write it down and put it in a binder or a folder where they can actually translate in a smooth transition for your guys' communication. And it won't be bad if you guys did a follow-up appointment, which basically means that since your spouse is not here, I want to give you guys some time to talk amongst yourself because they are not here present. I'm sure you have to talk to your wife regarding this project no matter what, right? Or husband, pardon me if someone took it the wrong way. But you want to schedule a second consultation saying, hey, let's set up this consultation where your spouse is also going to be present, because you're going to have some overnight questions that you might have not thought of, that she might want to bring up some questions that you have not brought up in today. Would that be a fair assumption? Okay. What I want to do is actually schedule it so I get to meet them, go any last minute concerns you guys might have, just so everyone is in the same page. What is a better day and time to swing by, or you guys are usually home together? So it sets the expectation where you're coming over, the spouse now sees you as a familiar face with the materials that you left, answering their questions, and just writing down things on a high note on what some things that they'll like. It's very important for you to leave in the note of very neutral position, which basically means you're not asking questions or you're not asking buying questions and hoping getting buying answers, which basically means, do you see anything that'll keep you from moving forward today without your spouse? Like those very hard yes commitment answer based questions, it doesn't tend to really work out because they always have in the back of their mind they still have to speak with their wife regardless. So it's very important that you want to keep a very neutral tone and just talk about benefits that people see in their household. What are some of the stories that you share, the testimonials that you can build value based on this family who is seeking, who possibly has general interest. The common thing that I see is people would not keep it neutral. They'd be too excited, monotone, rather than being in a very neutral, cruise control, value-based positioning, right? Not being too animated. They're just being very calm, collected, because they know nothing is going to be pretty much move forward on the first consultation with that one present spouse. So it's very important that you just keep it as if you're reading a book to a homeowner, to a client, sharing why so many people want to read this book, the stories that behind this book, and the animation vision that you have so that you can translate that certainty to the person. Of course, very important that you find what the problem is and why the reason they're shopping around, which is part of the beginning, the questions. And from there, you just want to keep it very in a basis where you want to meet this other spouse. You want to answer second questions. You want them to have their own time amongst each other to talk about more about the product of themselves in that household rather than you being present. Sometimes people just want to be in their space as long as they're making that decision for the house. So it's very important to find out, are they legitimate shoppers? And if that person in front of you is the legitimate decision maker, asking like, are you typically make decisions in the house? If you liked everything and your other spouse says no, what would you do? Like those very key understanding, empathetic questions so you can just save your time and have a better understanding that you have a legitimate candidate in front of you and willing to walk away from it and willing to negotiate at a different day and time and meet the other spouse by doing a little extra work on your side. It could be frustrating because you might have to do 2 presentations and sometimes the message won't translate really well. But if that person is so adamant and is very confident, which you should know based on the experience and analysis that you made and the conversations you had with the person, then I would just recommend going from there. But probably 8 out of 10 times I would just reschedule, and just so you can make your life easier. But in case those happen, this is one of my highest recommendations when it comes to approaching the meeting, the sales presentation with that decision maker. Hope that helps. Happy selling, guys.